Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. I have some wonderful guests with me today. I have Ashley and Mike from Canada. And Ashley and Mike had a unique situation with a cat urine type smell in their crawl space. And they're going to share with us their experience and what happened and what the contractor recommended and whether it worked or not. And they're just going to tell us everything they went through. Ashley, Mike, I appreciate you all joining me on the Crawl Space Ninja channel. Tell us a little bit about. All right, first of all, what was going on in the crawl space that wanted you to encapsulate or whatever you did? Tell us what was going on and what happened, and then we can go from there.
So we have a house with a crawl space, a dirt crawl space, and we did research as to what helps and just to make it better. So we found a company that encapsulates crawl spaces, and he's very capable to do it himself, but was very busy with work. So we decided to pay this company to professionally install it. We figured they'd do it in 2 days. We'd be able to store stuff down there. We'd have humidity problems resolved, water problems resolved, air quality problems resolved. And they were very quick and efficient. I remember sitting on the couch when they brought in the material, and it was this big, massive roll, and I had smelled a cat urine odor. But I thought maybe, it's the dirty shoes, like something else. So, but I had mentioned it to the contractor, and he immediately almost looked afraid, brought it out of the house, and then came back in to talk to me and proceeded to say he didn't really know what I was talking about and reassured me that, they've never had that problem, and he didn't know what I was talking about essentially. So, having gone through the process to book them in and everything, and we were so excited to have it done, and you trusting the company, I just let them come in and finish the job. So,
Well, and we didn't even know about that actually being a problem at that time.
right,
That's just something that you smelled off the roll as it came into the house the first time. This is prior to us having to do any research on the matter. We were just fully trusting this company to,
right.
do the job. They had their consultant come out, meet with us, and they showed us pictures and stuff. And we're like, hey, that looks great. Like, I would have no problem storing my belongings down there now, kind of thing. And so we proceeded with it. And
Right. And then
Now,
after about a month or so, we had it encapsulated in the spring, which in Canada is like, wet and starting to get warmer. Um, so after about a month, moving into the beginning of summer, we started smelling a cat pee smell, and more specifically to whenever the furnace was on, because it's bringing air from the crawl space up. And then, we started investigating it and trying to figure out what it is. And then he finally went down there and realized the whole crawl space reeked. And as soon as he would even just open the crawl space hatch, which is inside our house, my nose was flared up, my eyes were watering.
yeah.
Same with him. Our throats would start hurting.
And I mean, like, we did kind of notice the smell almost like a week or two after the install was done.
Right.
But it became almost unbearable to be inside the house at that point, like around that spring time.
Where it got to its
Yeah.
peak, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like it just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know exactly what happened, but it just got substantially worse.
Yeah. And
I do want to real quick, and I apologize for interrupting you because this is great
No, that's
information.
okay.
Number one, I want to make sure our viewers understand your crawl space hatch is in your living space, which is why they brought the plastic into your living space. Normally that
Yes,
wouldn't be
that's
the
correct.
case. All
Yeah,
right,
that's
all right.
correct. Yeah, our access is in the house, not outside. Yeah.
So it was on a roll. They brought it in, and you got some kind of whiff of it, and you're like, "Oh, that must be that guy's dirty feet or something, right?" I mean, surely it's not the
something.
plastic, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, and then they took it out, and then the contractor came back in and said, "Oh, it's not a problem." All right. So, in the crawl space, you obviously had plastic put down, encapsulated right up the walls, pillars wrapped, all that. Did they put in a dehumidifier or a sump pump or anything else, or was it just plastic?
Yep, 2 sump pumps and a dehumidifier.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've had standing water coming in, so you have a flooding issue down there. So they're addressing, I assume, some kind of interior perimeter drain into the sump pumps and all that as well.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that was installed. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify so everybody understands, this isn't like dry, Arizona weather. This is like very damp, lots of moisture coming in,
Exactly. And that was the leading factor as to why we wanted to do the encapsulation.
Okay.
Go above and beyond. Yeah, sure, we could have just did vapor barrier to meet basic code here in Canada, but we wanted the proper encapsulation.
We wanted to protect our investment, our house.
Yeah, and our kids, right?
Well, exactly. Was there any mold on the wood? Did they have to address any mold?
No, we did not have mold on the wood. Yeah.
We had prior renovations, so we had checked into everything. So we already knew prior to this encapsulation, we had no mold issues, we had no radon issues, we had none of that.
Yeah.
So, and we had regular preventative pest maintenance. We had our ducts cleaned after our renovation. We had a newer furnace. We got an air exchanger installed. So the air exchanger was the first of the trying to fix the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just figuring maybe we need to be bringing in fresh air. Like, I don't know, something's happening.
So everything you're describing was after the encapsulation, like cleaning the ducts.
Yeah. Like the renovations, the cleaning of the ducts happened there, but then
we
did it again because they were trying to tell us that it was our ducts that would have smelled and whatnot. So
that there was a dead rodent. So we
cleaned them and then we had them disinfected as well.
We had them sprayed in case there was mold in them, but even the duct,
which it's all new ducting. So I knew that wasn't the problem, but we did it based off of their advice and troubleshooting.
Even the duct, I don't know what you call them, but the duct cleaning people even said to us, like, are you sure you want us to clean these? Because they're not that bad.
Yeah, they're like
we had just had them done a year prior. And they said nothing came out of them. There was no evidence of rodents as well as pest control. We have these little bait stations because we do live in cottage country. So, it's just preventative. And he said our bait stations had not been touched. We had our HVAC guy in. He said our furnace was great. Our air exchanger was great. So then we got to a point where now we're emailing the company, right? And they're denying it. And not only are they denying it, but they're saying, oh, we've done millions of crawl spaces and we've never heard of this problem. Not, oh, I heard of that one time. He's been doing it for 25 years and never heard of it. Never heard of this problem. So that was weird to us at first. Then it was just hard to get them to come back out and assess the problem, which was disheartening.
Yeah.
And so once that started happening, I started being really careful about, just communicating with them through email and trying to just resolve the problem. They kept recommending things like he was saying, sealing the ducts. Oh, what about your propane tanks? Maybe they're leaking and just everything. And we did everything. And
we've had everyone check everything.
Even though our research was telling us it was the vapor barrier, we did our due diligence anyway to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right? Hoping, because we've already expressed our concern to them that it was the reinforced vapor barrier being the problem. But then they kept coming back to us saying that it wasn't and try all these things that cost us even more money, right? And then so we did those things hoping that eventually they would come to address the problem that in our guts we knew what it was.
So finally they told a lot of their solutions were things that we had to pay for. So one of them was, oh, you know what? Try our air purifier. It's awesome. And we're like, no, that's a Band-Aid. sorry. And he said, no, it's great, it's gonna get rid of it. And they kept blaming it on our air quality. So we weren't paying $3,000 for an air purifier. So finally they agreed to let us borrow it. And we put it again, we're like, okay, we know this isn't gonna work, but we're gonna do it because you're telling us to. So we put it in our crawl space for 2 weeks. You know, we did notice a difference in our air, like it just felt kind of like less stale, I guess. Like it did help. Like it's a $3,000 machine. Obviously, it's going to do something. But, we went down there and the ammonia smell
But it
was still
didn't,
strong.
yeah, it did not take
We
care of
still
anything.
couldn't use our furnace.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have a wood
Wood
stove,
stove.
so we were able to heat our house in the winter with not having this smell come up into our house. And it's not just the smell. Anytime it would come up into the living space, again, our nose would hurt. Our kids' noses would start running. Their eyes were red. Like I was pregnant at the time of this whole thing. I just had a baby in February. So, we were just affected physically. So that's why, could we use our furnace? Yes, there's nothing wrong with it. But we didn't want to because the smell was so unbearable. And anyone that would come into our house can smell it. Our friends, the plumber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing they made us do. Oh, maybe you need to put some reinforced vapor barrier under your water tank. So then they
So we had a guy come out, disconnect it all.
put in a new water
Yeah.
heater, put that underneath. Then they had one of their contractors out to help because there was one spot that wasn't fully sealed. So then they're like, okay, let's do that. Let's seal that part up.
Yeah.
So they came out and did that, and then it got worse. And even that contractor admitted that he smelled the ammonia smell.
Yeah.
The
Well,
cat urine.
Hey, Michael Church here. Real quick, I want to share two things with you that we've got going on here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Number one, I encourage you to check out the Ninja Cabin. We are making this cabin available for people that are interested in staying in the Gatlinburg and Sevierville areas around Dollywood and things like that. It's a beautiful cabin in Wares Valley, Tennessee. I'm going to put a link to that down below. And also, we're going to start doing a live feed, so that way you can talk directly to me. At the end of every month, we're going to be featuring a live feed, so make sure you check out the link below for the live feed coming up at the end of every month. And I do want to bring up a great point that you're talking about, and I don't want anybody to miss this. It's not cat pee, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a VOC. It's a volatile organic compound that mimics the smell of cat pee, which I think, as you, is an ammonia type smell because it burns. It actually burns your eyes, your nose, especially in a high concentration. So it's not like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of cats running around in my crop. No, no, no. This is a volatile organic and off-gassing smell from building materials that smells similar to cat urine. That's why we call it a cat pee smell. It's not that it's actually cat pee. So thank you for bringing that up because it does physically affect you.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it's causing cancer or anything like that, but if I'm a non-smoker, if I walk into a bar, that's smoking, not that I would go into a bar, but if I walk into a place where there's cigarette smoke, it affects me because of how it makes me feel. So anyway, thanks for bringing that up. So and they had asked you to do something else, and you did about radon. Is that correct? So
yeah. So the next step was to install the radon mitigation system, which then we moved forward with that. So we installed
they wanted us to spend $6,000 to get them to do it, but he's a carpenter and he knows how to do that stuff. So again, not that he had the time to, but we can't afford all this. Like we're paying for a water heater, we're paying to get our ducts clean.
We're thousands of dollars in the hole at this point. So I did the system myself. So we installed the radon mitigation system, and we had that operational for approximately 1 month, and I think it was just over a month. And we didn't notice not
an
a difference.
improvement. No.
The only difference that we did notice was the increase on our electrical bill
Yeah, which
for
was,
running the fan.
big.
Yeah,
It's
surprisingly.
bigger than our, we used to, a couple years ago, we had a window air conditioner, and that one used to increase it slightly. It was bigger than that. It was
Yeah,
like,
because it runs 24/7. It never
and it
turns off.
sounded like
Yeah.
a dryer going off in our driveway. It was
Yeah.
so loud.
Yeah, it's a pretty loud, unit. So
And we bought the best one you can get, just to point that out as well.
So
yeah, we did.
you've,
Yeah, we did not buy like a cheap one off Amazon. Like we bought a high quality unit. We wanted to, if this was to fix the problem, we wanted to really fix the problem.
Yeah, and we were just willing to do that. We just wanted the problem to go away. It was quite literally pain and suffering. And we're talking like back and forth over it, like, oh, more than a year.
wow.
So then eventually we got to a point where after the radon mitigation system was running for over a month, we figured we'd give it a few days, and then we didn't notice anything. Then we were like, okay, let's try a couple weeks. Then we got to about over a month, and then we just got to a point where we said,
Let's try it.
we're just committing to this. We know in our guts that it's this reinforced vapor barrier is
It's
the
the
problem.
material.
And we felt like we had no help from this company. They had no interest in working with us on
And
even coming to sample the product.
well, I might add, sorry, before we get to the end of it, that we finally got the owner of the company to come out to look for themselves. And they looked us, when again, how I mentioned, our friends, family, contractors, everybody said that they smelled this. And he looked us in the eye and said, down in the crawl space, and said he did not smell a thing and had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah. So then we, after the radon mitigation system did not work for us, and that's when we just decided to remove the reinforced vapor barrier.
Well, he did, I didn't.
Yeah, so I went down there and I removed all the product. And improvements were happening while I was removing it, just validating our position as to feeling good about what, we were just committing to losing even more thousands of dollars at this point with removing it, right?
Right.
And we're just like, but our air, like we're noticeably getting increased air quality. As every piece came out, it was just getting better and better
And
until I got rid of it all, and then it was perfectly fine. It was all gone.
We thought it was in our heads at first. We're like, we're looking at each other, and he's like, "Do you feel like it's getting better?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I feel like it smells better."
Yeah,
and
we
were like, and then he brought out one chunk of it, two chunks of it, and then once it was gone, we're like, we don't smell it. We don't smell it.
We felt like we got our house back, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
We felt and like when we turned on the AC again,
within an hour, we turned on our AC.
And we were just like, we were high-fiving each other. We were just so happy. Yeah, honestly, we were just so ecstatic that it worked.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
and even though we were at a massive loss financially for this, we were just so happy that the problem was gone. And it's such a testament to always going with your gut, because we knew from the beginning, from like just looking things up and looking into things, talking to people, that it was the material.
Right.
Well,
and you all reached out to me
that's
6-8 weeks ago, something like that. We did a consultation, and I don't think you had installed the radon fan yet. I think
it was,
no, that was prior to the radon. Yeah.
Right. And because you were at your wit's end, right? You're being told by these people to do this, do that, and I think at least I hope I said you got to rip out the plastic. Is that basically what I said?
You did, yes, and exactly, and I did, forget to mention that eventually we took our advice and our research. I don't know if it's okay for me to say this here, but our research did come from seeing your information that you're putting out there on reinforced vapor
And
barrier.
lots of blogs and Reddit posts and different websites that had other people asking about the same thing.
Right.
So there was just, you know, and that's what research is. You look at a bunch of different information from a bunch of different sources, and then what is the average that you're getting out of that? And what we got out of that is that reinforced vapor barrier, after being exposed to moisture or time, we don't know, causes this cat urine odor versus the clear kind of 6 mil vapor barrier doesn't. That's
Anything that's solid.
Anything that's a solid plastic,
Right.
yeah,
Will
yeah,
not, right.
Exactly. Any of those
Right.
solid plastics, they don't, don't have.
Well, and again, I don't exactly know what's doing it either. All that I know is that similarly, and I'm not saying it's all reinforced vapor barrier. I just want to be clear about that. All right.
Of course, yeah.
All of you who hate me for saying reinforced does this, it's not all of it. But whenever you take two pieces of plastic and you put some kind of cord in between them and you glue them or heat fuse them together, eventually it starts to delaminate. And what happens is that moisture gets in there. Once it's in there, it doesn't come out. And what happens to moisture whenever it sits? It stagnates, you know, and something about it being exposed to that cord inside there is where that ammonia smell starts to come from, you know. So anyway, I appreciate y'all saying, and I'm not, again, not trying to bash any particular product or anything like that. You've just got to be careful. And the proof is in the pudding, like you all talked about, right? If you didn't have the cat pee smell before, and then you encapsulate it, and then it starts to happen, well,
yeah.
I know, yeah.
No,
Right.
it was very obvious to us, and yeah, trust me, we were very happy once it was finally out.
And just to be clear, the vapor barrier that they installed is the type where there's a blue side on one side and a white side on the other side, which I think in the United States they use black versus white on the other side.
I don't know. I think it depends on who makes
And then it has the little squares of the
that's what he's talking about. That's the
Yeah.
nylon in between.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah, they have a blue
diamond.
bottom that goes to the dirt side, the nylon reinforcement in between, and then the white on top.
Okay, all right,
Stuff that
very
was
good.
installed in our house, yeah.
Well, so and again, to your point, whether it's that clear 6 mil that you're talking about, the point is use a solid plastic. Use something that isn't multi-layer. And because if it's solid, then it won't absorb moisture. That's really all I'm trying to get at. I'm not against any particular type of plastic. I just think that using a solid, it's kind of like a solid hardwood versus, you know, a hardwood that's like glued together. Obviously, the solid hardwood, a solid piece of wood is going to be better, you know, than something glued together. So anyway, what else? What's happened? Or did you put new plastic down, Mike? Did you re-encapsulate it, or are you just enjoying
I actually have not yet re-encapsulated, just because we did want to give it good time to verify that
which didn't take long.
No, it did not. But no, I have not re-encapsulated it yet. But I do have a clear, solid encapsulation material at my house that is ready to go in.
So when you brought that into the living space, did it smell like cat pee when you brought it into the living?
It did not. No. No.
No. And the dimple board is still down, so that doesn't create anything, you know, and we have nothing against the dehumidifier or the sump pump, other than the fact that when the water shoots out, it pools beside the house a little bit. But there was no issues with that. It was, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was gonna say, so you left the dimple board down, and obviously that didn't create a smell. There's nothing.
No, that didn't create a
side,
smell, no problem.
Not the side stuff on the walls.
No, the side stuff is still there as well. Literally the only thing that was removed from the encapsulation was the reinforced vapor barrier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, you know, again, there's a lot of different issues, and I just want to be clear. If I was going to ask you this, when they encapsulated the crawl space, was there wood on the dirt that they could have removed? Was the dirt cleaned up?
I went and cleaned it up already. Like I went down there, made sure all the debris was
spent days down there.
Was out, yeah.
Like making sure it was perfect.
We even got like clear 3/4 inch stone
to
to
level it.
like make it nice and flat. I was trying to make their life easier, honestly, to install it nicer down
They
there.
even complimented us on like,
Oh, wow, that's good. I'm surprised they didn't try to hire you. They might have.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I just want to bring that up because you can put plastic down over like nasty wood that can grow mold, and that can give off an odor. So make sure before you encapsulate the crawl space that you get as much organic material off the ground as possible.
100%, 100%.
Even prior to the encapsulation, our crawl space was called by other contractors and people that had come in a clean crawl space.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
that's
said it was good. They said it was nice. You know, we just had
Yeah.
some exposed dirt that we no longer wanted. We want to use it for storage in theory, you
Because
know.
it smelled like dirt in the house occasionally,
Yeah.
especially in like the fall and then the spring.
Yeah.
So
And we did have water coming in during those times.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
especially spring was the worst point in time with all of our
Absolutely.
snow melt and that kind of thing, right? So then we get increased rainfall during that time of year as well. So
yeah, and there's, you know, billboards everywhere of this company and that they fix your wet basement, and so that's how we started to look into it. And you know, they had looked like a legit company, and you know, they'd done a lot of work, and it was a big company, so we just thought we were going with the best. And we thought that, you know, my biggest thing as to why they get away with it and is because when you actually take a piece of the material just on its own before it's installed, you don't smell it. I think it's when it's a bunch of it at once, and when it's something that happens with the interaction of the moisture in the crawl space.
yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
And I'm
But-
just blown away that like this is probably happening to thousands and thousands of people every day.
Well, I think it's happening a lot less than it used to because, you know, we've been able to, you know, get a little bit of word out about people that are watching our YouTube videos and all that. Unfortunately, it seems like people are watching it after the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like what happened to you all. But I really appreciate you coming on. I thought your story was fascinating, you know, and the fact, and before we did this video today, I didn't know that you had done the radon and that didn't work. And I appreciate you telling me that as soon as you got the plastic out, it started getting
Immediately.
better. Yeah.
Immediately got better.
Yeah.
So again, that's the solution. All the other stuff, you can try it. You can't.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you're having this problem and you're wondering, don't wonder. If it's reinforced, take it out.
Yeah.
Make your
Just
life
commit to it.
happier. Do it. That's all I have to say.
Well, very good. Well, Ashley and Mike, I appreciate y'all joining me on this video today. And I am Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja, and we hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.